allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Want to bow your heads? Our Almighty Father in heaven, we're always grateful that we can get together in this democracy that we live in and act on the people's business of here in Wells County. Please be with us and help us to make the right decisions on behalf of those that we represent. We continue to ask that you watch over those that work tirelessly to protect us and allow us to have these freedoms, our military, first responders, sheriff, police, EMS, firefighters, and anyone else out there who is making sure that we can enjoy these liberties that we have. We say these things in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, thank you everybody for attending tonight's county council meeting. The first action is to approve the minutes from January 6th regular session and then also our January 8th executive session. I know the minutes were sent out. I did not see any corrections. So if nobody has any, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Todd. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and just so everybody knows, we weren't able to get Steve to join on Zoom because we have a fabulous replacement tonight. But Steve is on my phone, so he can't vote, but he will listen and be asking questions. So if you hear a weird voice, that's who is going to be chiming in. All right, so we have a couple of additionals. The first one is lit public safety for $8,126.60, which is simply a local match. Does anybody have any questions on that additional? If not, do I have a motion to approve it?
So moved.
Thank you, Vicky. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Todd. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. The next one that we have is Health PHP Cooperative Agreement. Actually, Sahara, John, I know you came up here.
Appreciate the
Yep,
efficiency.
we'll get you here in a minute, John.
No.
But Sahara, you're here, so if you want to go ahead and come on up.
Yes, sir.
How are you tonight?
I'm doing well.
Okay, if you want to walk us through this.
So this is our second year doing a 5-year emergency preparedness grant. It's for $20,000. We have half of it going towards the salary of our preparedness coordinator, which is Lynn. And then the rest of it is for supplies, travel, and then a storage unit.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Sahara? Seems pretty straightforward. Okay, if not, do I have a approval to approve the additionals for the Health PHP Cooperative Agreement?
So moved.
Thank you, Vicky. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Brandon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Now, John, if you want to come on up.
I was expecting questions on that one.
The local match was pretty easy.
Do you want me to bring that grant up with what I spoke to you and sent you that email about?
Yeah, you can go ahead and talk a little bit about that as you tie into the rest of your year end and then also your automobile program that you.
Very well. On your agenda, ladies and gentlemen, it shows that we're going to talk about some vehicles. Actually, I'm going to skip that and go to the end of year review. So if you'll follow along, I presented you each with a staple packet. So take a few minutes of your time here and explain to you a little bit about what's been going on in the Office of Emergency Management over the last 12 months. So some of it's a recap. You may have heard me talk about it in the past when I've been in front of you. But to become a professional emergency manager, there's several hours of training that you have to complete. The FEMA Professional Development Series is a 31 hours of online classes. And the Indiana Department of Homeland Security Professional Management National Emergency Manager Basic Academy, which consists of 10 online courses totaling 37 and a half hours, as well as 5 in-person classes for an additional 112. And involved with that, you have to give and present 6 major contributions. number 3 there is an incident command for advanced staff, which is 2 classes for in-person totaling 32 hours. All in all, and I'll skip over to the second page to explain this to you. All in all, in the last 12 months, I've completed 397 hours of training to be an emergency manager. And if you go back to page number 4, I'm the first one that's been notified that I have completed this 2 to 3 year course in 6 months. Mary Moran from the Department of Homeland Security caught me at a state exercise a couple months ago and congratulated me, but asked me why did I buckle down and do this? And I told her that was easy. The constituents of Wells County deserved it. So from 6 months compared to 2.5 to 3 years. And I've also enrolled in 2 additional Texas engineering classes through TEACS, which one of them is the Community Disaster Preparedness for Healthcare. And that is 4 classes, and I'm actually on the last class, and I actually was in class today. Tomorrow will be the last class to complete that certificate. And then the second one on page 2 you'll see is Infrastructure for Disaster Management. I there have 5 classes, and I have 1 left, and that'll be completed in March. So I'll have 2 college course certificates, both involving preparedness for disasters. In the middle of the page, there are 9 additional classes that have been taken by myself. And again, that's 397 hours of completed training. In September, we hired Deputy Director Mike Dewey. And since Mike hired in, he himself has completed 70 hours of training. Mike came to us in September and was chosen because he's highly decorated as an emergency responder for 35 years and had multiple years of emergency management in his book as well. So these classes that he's taken is just bettering him for what we're facing in the future. Emergency managers are required to attend so many drills and exercises, and as you can see on page 3, I've completed 6 drills throughout the year, participated in the Southern Wells relocation drill, telecommunications failure exercises with District 6 down in Muncie. We conducted our LEPC tabletop exercise here in December on the 9th. We participated in the Bi-County Services relocation drill and the District 3 Healthcare Coalition tabletop exercise for an earthquake, as well as the District 3 Healthcare Coalition core form impact deployment exercise. We've had 12 emergency call-outs in the last 12 months in our county, and all of those reports are on file and located in my office if any of you would like to read them. I have become very involved with the Fire Chiefs Association here in Wells County. I've been asked to attend their meetings, and with doing so, I've been tasked with two rather big chores. One of them was to assist the delinquent departments getting recertified for basic life support non-transport providers, which means that they are able to go out on these 911 calls and assist our local medics. Have to be certified to do that, and there was some departments that had been delinquent in getting those recertifications. We got that taken care of, and everybody in this county is back up to speed. And secondly, I was asked to assist with the finding a new medical director for our fire departments for their EMS response. And we interviewed 4 different doctors throughout Northeast Indiana, and we just recently chose one, and that is Dr. Nicholas Leonowitz from Lutheran Health Network. And then further down the page, it speaks about grants. We had applied for 2 large grants through the state, and those grants have yet to be announced due to complications with the shutdowns. Number 2 is I applied for the non-matching grant from Norfolk and Southern, which I was awarded $7,000. And all that money went for training equipment for be able to teach first aid, CPR, AED, as well as stop the bleed classes. And as of this week, since those supplies have come in, we have trained almost 50 first responders in this county. Actually, it's probably a little more than that now. And then lastly, under grant work, I was asked to assist Liberty Township Fire, Liberty Center, with a grant for AEDs, and they were awarded $2,500. So they got a new AED and some other equipment. Our local LEPC was notified in December that they were delinquent on several subjects that are mandatory reporting requirements for grant funding, and we were likely to lose those fundings as of December 31st if we did not comply. After multiple phone calls, emails, text messages, and so forth, the Office of Emergency Management was able to comply with all mandated reporting. And this issue had to do with the LEPC chairperson, and it's been taken care of. All of the stuff that we were delinquent on that jeopardized our grant funding has been 100% fixed. I'm not going to go real big into page 4 at the top there, but we've attended a total of 77 meetings, and there's a large list of items that I have received free to this county from the Department of Homeland Security. I'm currently working with the District 3 Healthcare Coalition. One of the things that we noticed as a gap that was reported in our tabletop exercise for the LEPC, as well as some of our other surveys and so forth, is a lack of mass casualty or mass fatality response. But I'm currently working with the District 3 Healthcare Coalition to see if they won't provide us with a cargo trailer. They would purchase it, and all of the items that are in the preparedness that we've received, most of those items would be put into that trailer. That way, if there was a large incident, we would hook up to that trailer and go to the scene. And that way it would have plenty of items inside of it, like masks, or we're looking at other emergency equipment like Band-Aids, splints, that kind of stuff, things that we would use after our ambulances are depleted in the area. So that's in the process. And
John, I have a question over here.
sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Sounded like
Yeah.
it was over here. Yes, sir.
You're talking about possibly getting a trailer. Is that right? Do you know where you'd park that?
Currently, I have actually, Matt and I had talked about it earlier on, and he said it didn't seem to be a problem with having it out at the highway barn.
Cool, that's all, yeah.
And I'm going to assume that offer still stands. So,
All right.
but there again, we're looking, if the Healthcare Coalition doesn't purchase it, then it's kind of a shot in the dark. So,
Yeah.
but we'll be talking about that, bless you,
Bless you.
later in the month. Currently working with the National Weather Service to make Wells County a storm-ready community. This application includes the following topics that you'll see there, 1, 2, and 3. This county's never been a storm-ready community, and we are diligently working to get that done, and that we have 2 more tasks, and that's to hold a Skywatch spotters course, which that is scheduled for March the 4th here in our county. And then the last item we have to do is Deputy Director Dewey and I have to go to North Webster and tour the National Weather Service. Once that's completed, we will then be acknowledged as a storm-ready community. And we are the last county in Northeast Indiana in District 3 to be storm-ready. So it's a big accomplishment, and I'm very proud of that that's getting taken care of. All of our emergency plans are up to date as of December 31st. We have 2 that are not. The one that Mr. Wicker spoke of earlier that's being paid for by the BRIC grant, that process will take place starting later in the month. And then we have the mass casualty plan that the Director of EMS is working on. So other than that, all of our plans are pretty much up to date. We've hosted a numerous amount of trainings, and when I host trainings, I open them up to all of the first responders services in our county. We've had an active shooter and rescue task force training. We've done the traffic incident management training, and that's a new course that's mandated by all EMS professionals. Grain bin rescue, as well as multiple CPR courses. Going to our social media, since January when I came into the office up until December 31st, we had made 103 total weather alerts through our social media. And you can see that they're listed, broke down. But that's our 2025 as a review. So there's been an awful lot happening in the Office of Emergency Management, and I'm very proud of the way things are going and where I'm taking this office. But a glance at 2026, as I mentioned on number 1, we're waiting on the grants. I'm hoping to start a ham radio program, not a club, but a program. That way that ham radio operators in the time of disaster or severe weather. We can count on them to deploy out into the field, give us, the Emergency Management Office and National Weather Service, in-time and up-to-date weather announcements and alerts, which is very big, very big. Number 5, Commissioner Vanover made the comment early on in my EMA career here that he thought it'd be a good idea that I get my ham license as well, and I am working on that. I hope to have that by late spring, early summer. Number 6, we already talked about. Number 7, fill in the gaps that are identified in our county readiness survey and our tabletop exercise for mass notification, mobile command, radio backups, mass casualty response. I've already talked about a couple of those, but the mass communication's a big thing. We have a system in this county, and it doesn't get used to its full potential. And that's the Everbridge notification system, but working with Mike Miller in dispatch, that's becoming a little more often, and we're learning more about it. Number 8, we're talking about severe shelters. We have one shelter in our county, and that's the YMCA. Whenever disaster strikes, the Red Cross comes in, and they set up a shelter at YMCA. However, I'm trying to get, I've had a couple meetings with the folks out at the 4-H fairgrounds to be able to use the 4-H buildings as a shelter as well. And not only for humans, but in case of an emergency, like a large fire at a farm, then we could, if they have displaced animals, their livestock, we could bring them up and shelter them in the 4-H barns as well. They were supposed to, their board of directors was supposed to have a meeting this month of January and discuss the final say on that. So I'm hoping to hear something here this month on how that's going to go. Number 9 is public relations. I'm big about public relations. I may not seem like much of a speaker in front of people, but that's one of the things that I'm working on, because I want people to understand that we're not just that one office that the government says you have to have in this county, but one that's proactive. And we've already got our first event, which is the Center on Aging's Seniors Day out at the fairgrounds. We're going to be out there, set up a table, have multiple flyers and information to give the senior citizens on how to better make themselves more disaster ready and prepared. So those are just some of the things that I'm shooting for in 2026, and some of them have already been checked off my list into the first 30 days of the month. So,
Great, John. Just one quick question for you. You mentioned, like, for example, Liberty Township Fire Department reached out to you. Do other volunteer agencies know that you're there to be a resource for items like that?
Yes,
Because I think that's great. The more we can get grant money, is less it comes out of budgetary money.
And when I got the alert, I say alert, the announcement from IDHS that the AED grant was going on, I reached out to each one of the fire departments personally to make sure that they knew that that was there, and I was available if they needed any help. And I do know that, I believe Bluffton, Ossian, Markle, Liberty, and I want to say Nottingham, all received funds
Good.
on that grant.
Okay,
I can't guarantee about the other two. I haven't heard. But
sure. Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Does any of the rest of the council
questions?
have any questions before I go into the last little bit here?
I'm kind of, you said that the YMCA
Mm-hmm.
is a disaster
Shelter.
shelter. I thought there were other places, I know Southern Wells used to be.
So to be a shelter, and there's a difference between a center and a shelter. Like you see us talk about a warming center or a cooling center. Those are places that people can go in and warm up, cool down, spend a little bit. Shelters have to be ADA compliant. They have to have men and women's or male and female bathrooms, as well as shower facilities. So I can't really answer your question about the schools, but I do know that when I've reached out to a lot of the churches, it was immediately a no, because a lot of our churches have daycares, and they don't want to open the doors and risk the security of the children during an event like that. So that's what got me on board with trying to find what our shelters are, and working with the young lady's name is Grace. She is our district person for the Red Cross, And she made it very clear to me that our YMCA was the only shelter that we have. So that's why I started working, because it may hold 250 people. We got more people that could be devastated by disaster. Where are we gonna put them? You know, so, and that kind of goes back to the list of supplies that I got, because people often ask, well, why did you get 500 Army cots? Well, if we have a disaster, I don't want people sleeping on the floors. You know, the more that I can prepare, the better off our county's gonna be. So that kind of goes with that.
Okay, I just thought that it was, Southern Wells was when I was the treasurer there.
Okay.
So that's why I didn't know what has happened, and to have a location, it would be nice to have outside
Absolutely.
locations, you know, with
Absolutely.
Norwell, you know, wherever.
And I'd be more than glad, ma'am, to follow up with that to see if the schools are able to or willing to, or what have they done in the
I
past.
mean, you may never have to use it, but,
There's always a chance.
yeah. I mean, when you talked about the livestock, I know when the tornado went through down south and, Freuger's cattle were, you know, it was a terrible situation.
Yeah,
And, you know, where are we gonna put these ones that are alive? In other words, alive.
absolutely.
You know.
Well, and oddly enough, just last year, after the Shrine Circus came through town and their semi caught fire, and the Grant County sheriffs were all over the media out there in the middle of the interstate wrangling camels and zebras. They didn't have no place to put them. I mean, they were calling farmers and farmers with trailers and stuff to shuttle them in every direction to get them out of the elements. Something like this would be prime opportunity. So that's
Great.
one of the things I've been working on.
Okay.
Anything else before I go on? So I mentioned about volunteers. I have given you each a small handout with a couple pages on it. And this goes into the agenda for vehicles. Several years ago, when I was in Grant County as the Deputy Director of Emergency Management, we had a rather large volunteer base, and we also had vehicles. And those vehicles were utilized by a traffic team. And anytime that there would be I would say, medium to large event, such as structure fires, power lines down, anything that a police officer or a fire department vehicle would set and block the roadway, the EMA would get dispatched, and those volunteers would go get in the marked vehicles and go out and replace that police officer. Save the county, city, lots of money on overtime and so forth by having those volunteers. And with having the volunteers, they're trained in traffic incident management, which I'm an instructor for, as well as basic first aid life support. That way, you know, because people see a marked vehicle that says EMA, it's a first responder. And a lot of people just see vehicles that are marked, like police cars, ambulances, it's somebody that can help. So I'm a big firm believer that volunteers need to be trained in basic first aid, which there again, I'm a certified instructor to do so. Pardon me. But I had been talking with Madison Hake of the Community Corrections, and she has 3 vehicles that they're going to delete from their fleet. And I wanted to talk about those because I want to start this plan, this volunteers and the traffic group. And it's been new to me because I've not had to go through all of the requests and the legalities and so forth. But I've chatted with Commissioner Van, well, I've talked to the commissioners about it, spoke to Mr. Wicker about everything. And so at some point, I may be back in front of you all to ask for the additionals for those vehicles. It's early stages. Mr. Wicker's asked for some additional information as well as Mr. Vanover. But the one big thing that I stressed last night in the commissioners meeting, I had been tasked by the state to go around and look for all of our emergency radios that we have, the 800 megahertz. Each radio in our county has a specific state ID number, and they wanted me to gather all those informations. And which there was 488 radios attached to this county, which for a county our size is a lot. But doing so, I went over and talked to Madison and got the keys to their vehicles, and those vehicles all have radios in them. So if we absorb those vehicles with the radios in them, that's $3,500 that we won't have to spend to put into them. And then the other question was about emergency lighting. Well, those vehicles have emergency lighting on them. They're red, yellow and white, which is non-police vehicle, and that's what we use currently on the one EMA car that we have. And that's about an additional saving of another $1,000. So the equipment alone is probably worth more than what the vehicles are. But I have high hopes about this program because, like I've stated, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just looking to move this county and EMA forward and better preparedness, better response, better recovery. So sooner or later, I hope to be back in front of all of you to discuss the money portions of these vehicles. But I got asked the other night, what kind of incidences, for maybe the last 5 years, could an emergency management traffic team be of assistance? I didn't have the best numbers for those because I've relied on Mike Miller over in dispatch to get them. But I do know that in 2025 alone, there was 100 dispatched structure fires, which means whether they were a working fire or if it was just a short fire, whatever, but that was at least 100 opportunities that this traffic team could have gone out and assisted the police with doing their job. You look at the gas main break we had in early spring last year, right after I came into office. I know that the city, it was a Saturday or a Sunday, and the city was only, running minimal staff, I'm gonna assume, and they had officers coming in off duty to help, just to block traffic and to keep the perimeter. There again, this was something that a volunteer unit could do. So, and once we get the approval and get everybody on board with it, I know that the sheriff made the motion in my board of advisory board meeting, and he was all for it. So once we get people on board and invested in it, you'll only see good things out of it. But if,
One thing, John, just not trying to get the horse,
No,
the
you're-
carriage here, or carriage ahead of the horse, but if this did go forward, where would you park these vehicles?
they would.
I guess that's kind of the biggest thing.
No, you're great. No, and I actually mentioned it to the commissioners the other night, or last night, about where they would be, and I mentioned it to you as well because you asked. The volunteer group that we'll have will be strictly minded. They will be background checks, driver's license checks to make sure everybody's able to drive. But at some point or another, they would be kept over in the other lot unless there's a specific time frame, like a weekend, where, say yourself, for instance, or you tell me, John, I'm available all weekend, then you would have the vehicle to be able to go home with it. That way, response times, when times are critical, you wouldn't have to drive from, and I don't know where you live, but say you live down in the Boot, and the call is in Ossian. Well, instead of driving up here and getting it, you could drive straight from your location to wherever the call was. Or maybe you'd have to backtrack, come here and then go back to the booth, just to save the amount of time. But that doesn't mean that they'll always be taking them home.
But otherwise, the big lot, I forgot about that big lot over there.
That's currently, and that's currently where they're,
Yeah.
that's currently where they're at.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So,
I think, go ahead.
yes, ma'am.
What kind of communication would happen for that? I mean, does the sheriff contact you and then you contact those people?
So that's been an ongoing question. So the dispatch center has a list of calls where emergency management should be contacted abruptly. But with this being a new program, it would be also left to the officers on the scene. If it's a minor fender bender and they're only gonna be out there for 20 minutes, 30 minutes or whatever to get the cars out of the roadway, then that's their discretion to whether or not they contact dispatch to have us called. If it's gonna be like a fatality where the traffic reconstruction team from the state's gonna come, that can last up to 4 or 5 hours. So then those officers would request us to come out. Same thing with the fire department. And then what my hopes are is to have pagers like guys on the fire department carry. That way, when there is a need for the traffic team, the dispatchers could hit a button and page us out just like they do the fire department. So,
And another thing that I wanted to ask.
yes, ma'am.
And I did ask Lisa, so with any kind of government assets, the government wants capital assets listed somewhere. So those radios that you're going out to try to get the numbers, they're probably listed with, I assume the auditor's office has that list. I just was trying to make that easier for you, so you're not going
I would have talked 4 days ago.
because they need to have, I mean, any kind
They
of.
should, but do they?
If it's
Well-
under $5,000, it's not on the capital
Oh.
asset.
So then it wouldn't be on there. Yeah.
So you don't have another list that's under 5,000?
The over
I'm sorry.
5 is enough.
I was in government, I've been in government a long time, and yes.
I'll listen to anybody, because there's a lot of things I'm not real familiar with, so. But yeah, we started this process the last week, and we've almost got everybody's radios done.
Oh, well, you're in good shape then.
Well, I appreciate you looking at this, John. I know we had that bad fire out in Uniondale the other day, and I got routed from work by 2 cop cars blocking off roads. And I'm like, in the moment, you're not thinking much about it. I'm like, you know, if they have a call to go somewhere else,
They're not.
they're not. Or you're just paying them to sit there instead of maybe being available somewhere
Or
else.
they're leaving to
So
go
until you
on a
brought this
severe
up, I was thinking, oh,
911
that
call.
made, right.
And leaving the scene open for
Yep.
traffic congestion and so forth, so. but,
Well, keep pursuing it and then let us know regarding the vehicles and we'll see how that ends up. I know you said the commissioners are looking at that as well. So thank you.
Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you.
Thank you,
all
John.
For your time. Have a great evening.
Sarah.
Dale,
And Dale, you can come up too.
name is on there too.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's both of you, Dale. And since you're our appointee, we'll hear from you as well.
Is that, yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
So I gave you kind of stats and accomplishments and a handout earlier. If you're gonna, I'm not gonna read all of it to you. You're welcome to read through it if you have questions. Some highlights, just, we had our 438th finisher for 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program, 30 finishers in 2025, and 41,261 books read to children that are pre-K. So it's very important with reading development and being able to have those early literacy skills so that they can pass their iLearn by grade 3. Participated in an assortment of community events. We also worked with different businesses to have events within the building. Our children's room staff currently serve 2 daycares, 19 preschool classrooms, 5 kindergarten classes, and then we do what's called intense intervention classes, and we host storytime visits for life skills class from Bluffton High School. So kind of gets them out of the building, and they kind of learn how to socialize in public settings. So we are in the middle of tax assistance right now with local volunteers and AARP. Last year we served 439 patrons during tax season. We are full already, and we opened up Tuesdays as well. So we had some people call, not very happy today. I was on the desk for that call. That was fun. So we started partnering with Park Community Church. We offer free lunches during like spring break and throughout the summer and fall break as well. And then we had a third library mini golf event. We have another one coming up February 27th through the 28th. And that is hosted by our Friends of the Library. All the funds that are raised, anything that is Friends of the Library goes directly to our programming. We work really hard so that we don't spend any tax dollars on programming. So it comes from community organizations, foundation grants, our Friends of the Library, and then private donations as well. So let's see. Stats are holding fairly well. We had 134,468 visitors in the library last year for 2025. We have roughly 53% of our potential population for a library card. However, a lot of households will only have like 1 or 2. They won't get their kids library cards because they don't want, I don't blame them, having books out on multiple cards to try and keep track of. So it's probably higher than what that actual 53% is. But physical material still is holding steady. Audiobooks, ebooks, magazines are up. Hoopla, which is also ebooks, audiobooks, is up as well. Public computer use is slightly down, but wireless increased by 6%. Meeting room use is up by 35%. We had 459 reservations, over 9,000 people using our meeting rooms. And then we had nearly 3,500 reservations for study rooms and over 7,000 people using study rooms in 2025. So, any other questions about any of that? So the not so good part on the back, while we are being utilized and our community does use the library, as you are all aware with SEA 1, or Senate Enrolled Act 1, what we can tell at the moment is that we would be cutting our costs by about 12 to 15% for 2026, which is around $160,000 to $200,000. So this also is affected by the state library's budget being cut 30%. The property taxes with new homestead deductions, and then as far as what's going to happen with local income tax, we're kind of unsure of at the moment as well. Not that I have to really explain any of that to you guys. So, all libraries kind of across the state are looking at budget cuts, which include possibly reduced hours, staff, and services. At the moment, we're trying to just focus on services and reduce budgets, and then increasing meeting room fees. Some things that aren't legislation affected, since 2021, the cost of a book has actually increased by 12%, and we have not seen that go down. Utilities and building maintenance has increased by 11%, and then our internet costs will increase by 50% due to state budget cuts. So things that we're changing: in-house digital offerings. The program Hoopla will be discontinued at the end of this month. So the only offering for ebooks we'll have is Libby and Overdrive, and then that budget will probably stagnate and not increase. I don't know, next 2 to 3 years would be my guess. Databases that we will be getting rid of are A to Z, BrainFuse, Chilton, which is for car repairs, Creative Bug, Virtual Reference, small engine repairs, and then we have a language learning as well as Mango for adults, but we had one for children. It wasn't used as much as the adults, so we're going to cut that as well. Hotspots will be discontinued March 13th. And then physical material, we will be cutting all of those budgets by 12 to 15%. Meeting rooms, we've not increased the cost of renting a meeting room since 2019, and so we will be increasing them slightly according to the prices laid out below. We're also trying to get away from requiring pennies, so that's why they're just a flat fee, and it's tax exempt, non-tax exempt. So. Any questions?
I really enjoyed the budget end of it. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
that. Appreciate
yeah.
it.
Yeah, we wish we had some more clarity around that for you, but we don't have much of that yet
Yeah,
either.
no, I'm not coming
So-
for answers, so
Hopefully in a couple of weeks after they get through this session, we'll know more.
we'll know more, yeah. I think the biggest concern for libraries at the moment, and probably all local units that have debt, is that protection of homestead credits were not included for our debt. So
Okay.
which I know that is in a bill that they're working on passing, so it would be,
I think final readings are Friday, I believe, and then we'll see what legislation comes out.
yes, yeah.
Do you know how much longer your bond is?
2029, I believe, is the last payment.
I mean, time goes fast, so it
Yes, yeah, I know.
wasn't that long ago.
It
but yeah,
doesn't,
It does go
yes,
fast.
it doesn't feel like that long ago, so.
Any other questions for Sarah or Dale? Well, thank you both for coming tonight and presenting. Appreciate it. Thanks. Yep. Matt, if you want to come on up. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you. This evening, I wanted to bring a couple of proposed changes to our job descriptions and pay matrix. We've been in the process of interviewing for a new mechanic and working with commissioners trying to understand what is the best option for the countywide fleet. Between the interviews I've done and those conversations, I'm looking at changing that mechanic slot that we currently have open to a mechanic lead role. The mechanic lead would run the shop similar as a foreman. They would be paid just as the foreman are paid. They would be a subject matter expert to each county department, sheriff, EMA, as we heard earlier, corrections, surveyor, and they would help manage that fleet. In the process of looking at software to help with that, similar to what I am used to at NDOT, different than what we had at NDOT, something that might work a little better. But be able to manage our fleet, what we're having in life cycle costs, parts room, turn rates on what is sitting on the shelf, and understanding what our inventory is. And that person would help manage all of those little odds and ends. As well as having this role would open up our ability to bring on, we have a very good mechanic now, but in the future, maybe bring on, if he leaves, a mechanic with less experience, and this person become a mentor. The people I've looked at too, my candidates, the one I really want to have, has an understanding of urgency and expediency in the matters of what we seen last week with the snow. I'm looking at a former shop supervisor with 30 years experience at a Dodge dealer out of Noblesville before he went to the state. So that's what I'm proposing for the mechanic lead. This is something that is pretty important when you get into the day-to-day operations. From my role, bouncing back and forth between trying to keep things rolling out on the asphalt or gravel, or staying in and minding the shop and every little piece that goes into it. So this person would also be someone who can assist in understanding if we need to send a vehicle out or not. I'm gonna pick on Lisa here for a minute because I was in her office pulling some invoices from the Ford dealer, the Chevy dealer, Welch's, and on one of those Ford Explorers, I don't remember if it was corrections or who, but in labor-wise, just to replace the air conditioner, the county spent about, I think it was $1,200 in labor. That wasn't even parts. On average, we spend $25 for oil change in labor. That's not the oil filter, that's just them doing the oil change. So this is someone I would bring in to help manage that and do some of that on the in the middle of computer work, managing the parts. They would be a working supervisor as well.
So they would manage the whole entire county's fleet of vehicles?
My goal, sir.
Okay.
And I haven't got into the facilities and buildings and grounds side of it yet. I understand everyone sees we have a nice new building. But if there's room for John's trailer or any other fleet parking, we could probably work something to where put a parking area out there and they're there and that individual helps manage that.
Okay. Now, do you know, did the commissioners also go ahead and approve, I assume they've endorsed this, you've run it by them?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Correct.
Vicky, sorry.
No, I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
So
No, I
they
was-
didn't-
So is the sheriff's, all the sheriff cars involved here too?
Yeah, we'll
or-
have to pass
He,
a new.
he would be able to assist with that, but the sheriffs are actually in a program with Ford.
I thought so. I thought.
For their-
most
for
of
their
them are
everyday
new
leasing daily
cars,
maintenance.
and they- Yeah,
But they do have vehicles, their prisoner transport and a couple of minivans
okay.
that we could assist with that are not in that program.
I thought they were
Yep.
in a little different situation.
Yep, but this could be somebody that can assist. If you didn't see the news last year, the state police had quite a few Durangos, engine failures. And this could be someone who could assist in understanding what is going on, who could be more of a neutral party than the manufacturer.
So do you have, at this time, do you have equipment to check these computers and all the stuff that's on these vehicles now?
We do have code readers and that for our vehicles we currently have now, along with our dump trucks. The dump trucks and heavy equipment is a little different, but we can expand that. I started looking into that as well, so that way we can cover the entire fleet. The large expenditure we would have is, and it's something that I'm honestly not sure why we don't have it, and that is a 4-post lift for the vehicles we currently have. We have a set of 4 mobile lifts, and we should actually have 6 for our dump trucks, because we're lifting by 4 axles and not all 6, so that is under $50,000. I went through and put that out there, and we do have someone who can supply those, so that'll be done separately, but I've thrown out there to get a bid on a 4-post lift, up to 18,000 pounds, and I'll cover everything from any small sedans we have up to our F-550 sign truck.
Matt, how many vehicles are you talking about servicing, not counting sheriffs and?
Vehicles and equipment all in itself, I think I think the county altogether had over 100, so you'd probably drop about 20 from the sheriff. So you're looking at least 80.
You've got 80 dump trucks and,
That is not just me. That is county sheriff, that is surveyor, that is corrections, and that is our backhoe, mini excavator, our 2 loaders, trailers, anything with an engine on it that falls under what was discussed with the radios, the capital assets.
right, but your excavating equipment is probably not gonna be something within the skill set of this mechanical lead to service.
The mechanic that we have does, sir. He was at New Holland and went to school for it, has a degree.
So hydraulics.
Yes, sir.
diesel, and so forth.
And the mechanic lead I'm bringing in, overseeing the state mechanics who did and has the knowledge of that.
And I apologize if you've done this and I missed it.
Oh,
Has there been a cost analysis done comparing what all we have spent with the local dealers compared to what you're gonna spend in equipment and salaries?
to understand what I can find, we're already paying the salary now up to a certain point. The rest of it is to pay that mechanic lead. So we are going from, the current mechanic is at 1.07% of what you come in at, and this would be at 1.012, or 1.12.
Right, so what you're asking for from the board tonight is much smaller than the question I just asked.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
But it seems like we're getting
It's
there.
not a new hire. Yeah, it's not,
Yeah.
it's basically taking the mechanic at
We're-
107, changing it to a mechanic lead to be 1.12 in the pay
I
matrix.
apologize for my question there, Matt.
No, that's okay, Mr.
Part of
Elzey.
understanding it, so good. Do you want to go ahead and jump then to the crew leader?
Yes, sir. So currently, we do not have a progression ladder for our employees. And I'm proposing a slot that I am used to having at my units when I overseen sub-districts at the state. You have your operators, your highway technicians, as we call them, so your drivers, your operators. This person would be between them and the foreman. And when the foreman is not out there on every job site, this person would be that person on that pipe job or pavement patch. And they would also help track. Last week with the storm, you've seen that we did the governor and the president, the emergency declaration. We got the email yesterday from John asking that we track all of our costs. Currently, the foremen have not been doing that, tracking everything in the computer. Our computer system can track it, it has the ability to do it, and this person would be helping put all those costs into place so we can track how much material we're using, how many hours we have on a project, and putting that in there, while the foremen are also assisting with customer service. The progression side of it is we are not giving, how do I say this? I don't want to say we don't put a carrot out in front of someone. But when you come in, our current foremen both of them are over 30 years, one's over 40 years. So there hasn't been much upward mobility. And this gives them the opportunity for upward mobility and the opportunity for us to see if there's someone who wants to lead and show that they have initiative. This gives that opportunity. We currently have drivers and operators, and then the 2 road foremen. There are some folks who I think can be crew leaders, and those slots will be filled from within. We're not adding 2 people, but they will be put through an interview process because this is an entry-level leadership role. This isn't just, hey, I think you're doing a great job, I want to promote you. No. They need to show that they are trying to get into something and not trying to run away from something.
Are you anticipating that there would just be one crew leader position, or what would your vision be as far as how many people would elevate to that crew leader role?
There'd be 2 crew leaders. We have 2 road foremen,
Okay.
and there'd be 1 crew leader per road foreman. That person would also fill in when the road foreman is on vacation for a week or out sick.
And would that be going from the equipment operator, like, for example, that's 1.04 to 1.07?
Yes, sir.
Am I reading that correctly?
Correct.
And this crew leader would be able to do all these job duties, right? As far as
Correct.
if somebody's not there or whatever, he fill all those spots in if need be.
Yes, sir.
Have the ability to do all those.
Yep, this is, lack of a better term, a foreman in training.
Any other questions for Matt? If not, because we do have to vote on this, can I have a motion to approve the updated job classifications for crew leader and mechanic lead, along with changing the draft matrix, actually creating a new one for the crew leader at 1.07 and changing the mechanic to mechanic lead at 1.12?
I'm gonna jump in here. I'm gonna caution the council on making changes to the matrix outside of the budget season. I want to think hard about that, and maybe we revisit this in a month when we've had an opportunity to discuss this more thoroughly. I don't disagree with the vision here. It's more of the timing.
Are you suggesting we wait till fiscal year 27?
Yeah. I remember we had this conversation during the sheriff's adjustment, and I voted against that. And I think this council decided to wait until the following year to actually enact those raises, if I'm not mistaken.
Actually decided on what we were going to do, and it was, yeah.
And we passed a resolution. Obviously, that was a quicker turnaround than,
Stating that we were going to do it.
right.
Affirming that we were going to do it.
Right, we affirmed that we were going to do it,
That
and
was
we
for-
made some
That was
changes,
for
but
the
we
whole
didn't.
entire police force, though. These are for specialized positions. So I guess I view that maybe just a tad differently, that these are two very specific positions, not the whole entire matrix, which is what the
Yeah.
sheriff was asking for.
That's true, I understand that distinction.
And if he's in the process of trying to hire people, yeah. It's a good point, though, Brandon.
The other thing is Matt has not been in this position real long. I'm sorry. I'm
A
not
year?
sure when you came.
Not even a year.
About 7 months.
Yes, yes, 7
Yeah.
months. So, him overlooking the whole department and trying to figure out what's the best for that department, I can see why his timing is off of the budget timing.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that either. I did vote against adjusting the matrix when the sheriff came before us. I would have to vote against this as well. That's why I caution the council. I just want us to think through it. I understand the distinction, though, and the timing with you coming in when you did. It's not like you've had ample opportunity to ask for this. And like I said before, I actually strongly agree with what you're doing. Creating that option for upward mobility, having a lead mechanic, no disagreements there.
I think, one thing to think about too is if we hold off on doing the lead mechanic, where that could create an issue is that the vision of being able to bring in-house doing all those repairs could be put off as well, potentially.
Have you hired him yet or not?
No, so through my interview process, to get someone with the skill set and the credentials, and I understand this is publicly recorded, but we're in the same boat as the Indiana Department of Transportation. We're not paying enough for that business for us to bring in someone, sir.
I thought during your back and forth with Councilman Elzey, you had mentioned that you already have a mechanic who can do some of these more advanced diesel and hydraulic, these different
Correct,
jobs.
but he's lacking the leadership skills, sir.
Okay. So you're looking right now for a lead mechanic, and you're saying that the current rate just is not going to attract somebody.
Yes, sir.
Okay, understood.
I was having I overseen all 4 shops in the Fort Wayne district before I left, and that was an issue for all 4 shops, finding someone. And what they ended up doing was to bring in a mechanic. They would promote. Brian, I'm gonna pick on you, bud, I'm sorry. But Brian and I plowed together at the Markle unit years ago. And so they would have brought someone in who was just a highway technician, and that's what they're doing now, and teaching them how to change oil.
Okay. You're confident that the wage you're asking for on this lead mechanic, I mean, that's going to get somebody?
It's gonna get us somebody. If we want someone more specialized than that, it's not gonna do it, but to get someone that we need and who understands our business, we're looking at someone who is a little bit older, still turns wrenches, but is more in a training mode, and that's what we need to help with our folks that we don't currently have. It's more of a mentorship and managing and maintaining a fleet.
Okay.
So do you think this is something that can't wait, like Brandon's suggesting with not adjusting the matrix now, but waiting?
Correct. So the other candidates I interviewed, great people. I would hire them to be road workers, but we would be just hiring someone who does maintenance out of their garage. Nothing against them. A lot of folks want to get in, but they are not coming with the skill sets that the county needs.
And I feel like, again, that these are 2 different positions, not changing the whole matrix. So to me, feels a little different than what the sheriff's situation was, but I do respect your decision though, Brandon.
On the crew leader, do you have some people in mind currently that you're immediately going to move into that higher wage bracket, or are you effectively coming for a pay raise for people who are currently, I guess, laborers at this point? You're going to move them into that slot?
Not that simple, no.
Okay.
I need someone who can back up the 2 foremen that we have, who can be trusted to help keep track of what we're doing. That is something that I'm used to a computer system called WMS or another one called DMO, and it's how NDOT tracks everything they do. We have Violytics and it can do that. But to track all of our costs so we can come in here and give you an honest answer on a budget come June, we're not currently doing that because there's not someone who's going to be sitting at that computer doing that.
I guess from where I'm sitting, my concern is, all right, if you don't have a lead mechanic, you're trying to attract somebody, you're going to create this position, that's one thing. But when you create a crew leader position, which is with the intention of promoting existing staff, then we open a door for any department to say, look, we're not changing the matrix, we're not giving raises, we're creating a new position, and somebody who's already in the office gets that new position, and now it's a pay raise. So I could see that as a slippery slope.
Well, and I think if they come before us to justify that the job duties are changing dramatically it's like any promotion that somebody gets, like at my company, we give a promotion because you're doing more duties, more
Okay? Yep,
responsibilities.
that's a fair response.
So I
Yeah.
think that would have to be the argument back is
Yeah, I
that
think that's-
what are they going to be doing more to justify it,
Right.
where in this case, they would be.
And so they would be moving into a leadership role at that point. So now they're on the sort of track to become a foreman.
Correct. One of our foremen, he's probably gone in 5 years. And
So this is a mentoring.
correct. Waiting till then is probably not the best time to build a bench.
Okay, I think I'm done.
Okay. So again, I'll throw it out there to see if we have a motion to approve the updated job classifications as presented along with the change to the pay matrix. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Todd. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed?
Thank you, Brandon. Okay. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate your time. So the last other business just to go through is that per statute, we have to nominate somebody from this physical body, the county, for the cities, the Bluffton Economic Development Board. So basically, I don't want to say it's a formality, but what that position is, they meet once a year. It is not economic development. It is not Wells County Economic Development. They meet once a year in case there's bonding needed from the city. So Phil Swain has been the person that has been doing it. He threw his name in the hat to do it again. I talked to Mayor Menser. He said that Phil contributes, fills in that role really well. Unless somebody has any other ideas, it seems like it's again, a position that really isn't needed unless down the road there would be a bond that the city would want to issue for economic development, was my understanding from Mayor Menser.
We do something similar to for Austin, don't we?
I think we
Yeah,
do.
we did it back in January, I believe.
Yeah.
It's just a nomination.
It is,
and they-
it's
yeah,
not,
so,
yeah. So if that's okay with everyone, or with this council, do I have a motion to go ahead and appoint Phil Swain to continue serving on the Bluffton Economic Development Board?
I'll
Thank you,
second.
Scott. Thank you, Brandon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, do I have a motion to conclude the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Vicky, Scott, I'll assume you seconded that. All in favor? Aye? Aye. No one usually opposes, so thank you.